Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joi. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Something About Tuesdays, episode 13. Hi, hey, and welcome. I'm full of energy, and man, my notes I have kept. Usually, I try to keep notes throughout, my days or my weeks to come up with things to say. And when I say these last couple weeks, I have the most random notes, but I love it. So I think it's going to be a good episode. I really think y'all are going to enjoy it. If nothing else, it's going to be a fantastic thing to listen to while you're doing something else, because it's going to be so random that when you do tune in, you're going to be like, what? And then when you tune out and come back, you won't have missed much. But anyway, so welcome back to episode 13. I'm feeling better. I don't know if you could tell in that last episode, I was a little under the weather. I was recovering from being sick. And so now I'm feeling better, and nothing feels quite as good as it does when you've gotten over a sickness. Like when you're sick, you kind of forget. You forget how good it feels to be well, and you long for it, and you miss it so much. And you're like, I'm sick, and I feel bad, and this is terrible. And then once you start feeling better, you appreciate it more. I mean, that'll preach in and of itself, but you do. And so I am feeling better. These last couple of weeks, y'all, school has started and stopped and started. I know. I might get into that. I don't know how much about that I want to talk about. But I might have to touch base with y'all on that, because it's pretty wild. But I'm actually just getting back from, and I say just getting back. I did eat when I got back, and I was so tempted to take a nap, but I was like, let's go ahead and record. But today I went to our state fair. And it's so funny when I say state fair, because I have to admit, the majority of the people who I say, it's the state fair, they look at me like, okay. Or they're like, no, I will never go to the state fair, not again, or I'm not going to do it. In fact, one of my friends at work, we were talking, and I was so excited because I was telling her about how I plan to go to the state fair this weekend. It's going to be great. And she was like, I'm never going again after the last time I went and there was a shooting. She's like, and I get that. And yes, sometimes state fairs can be rough, but it's tradition now. And what's so funny is it's not like our state fair is so amazing. I'm not going to dog it or anything, because I'm so excited to go, as you can tell. But I think for me, it's, I guess, the tradition of it. I don't know exactly when my family started going, like mom, dad, my sister, and me. But at some point we started going, and then we just went every year after that, and it's just been a thing. And the part that I like the best, so when I was talking to my friend about it, she was saying that most of the time when she goes to our state fair, she goes outside and she sees the animals, because we have the animals that come, and of course the outside vendors, like the food and stuff, and the games and the rides and things are outside. But she doesn't often go inside, like the I guess convention center type place. But I was like, oh, you haven't experienced the inside of the state fair then. And so of course I had to tell her all about it. I'm going to tell you guys. So the inside of our state fair, the part that I like, of course I like the fact that it's tradition, right? So I'm going with my family. Today I went with my mom and my sister. And really the last couple years, I do have to say that I think Dad, we haven't been going all together, I think, with all four of us, or even five if you include my husband. But we have, I think everybody has still gone. I think last year I went with my mom one day, and I think my mom and dad went another day, and maybe my mom, dad, and sister went one day, and I think my mom, me, and my sister. Anyway, so this time it was my mom, my sister, and me. And when we go, we like to go inside, because that's the best part too. Like the state fair, some people might like to go for the outside and things like that, but y'all, it's always hot. Like August, it's always burning up. I need the inside. I need that AC. So we go inside, and I like to see and I'm gonna just list them. So I like to see the different cakes, like the cakes that people make, and they like design and make all cool kind of like, I guess some type of decorative type cake. Those are so fun, which I did not see this year. I don't know where they were. I think they moved some things around and I could not find the cakes. So that means I'll probably have to go back because I really do enjoy seeing the cakes. And then I like to see the doll houses or the miniature houses. I don't want to say doll houses because they're not really doll houses. They're, I guess, the kind that you build, but people do all different kinds of themes. And you guys, this year, my absolute favorite one, and I might have to post a picture on Instagram. I don't know how that will work. But as far as like, I don't know if it's copyright, if it's advertising, I'm not sure. But it was the Frasier apartment. If you've ever seen the show Frasier, which I absolutely love. I don't know what that says about me, but I absolutely love the show Frasier. And it has his apartment, like, and the guy who did it, like created a miniature version of it, kind of like a doll house size of it. And it was so good. He also did the Cafe Nervosa, I think is the name of it in the show, and did that whole thing. You guys, it was fantastic. I was like, wow. And some people are so talented. And there was some, like, I love seeing the junior divisions too. When you see the talent of the young people. My sister and I, we walked through, and another area I like is the art, as far as like paintings or pastels or photography or abstract or mixed materials, all of that. I like looking at that. And then I love seeing the junior division. Like we saw some today. It was 3rd through 6th grade. And there was one picture that I was like, there's no way. There is no way. It was a picture of the eye of a tiger. And I don't know if they were referencing the song or not, but it looked so realistic and so detailed. I was just amazed, and it was awesome. And so I assumed it was a 12-year-old because I was like, wow, well, first off, the fact that a 12-year-old could have done this is amazing. Anything less than 12 is just beyond amazing. You know, it would just been phenomenal. So I love seeing that and seeing the different artwork and things like that at the state fair. I love to look at the bouquets, like the bridal bouquets and things that people submit. My mom actually submitted my bridal bouquet, which is stunning. She did it herself. Absolutely beautiful bouquet. But it got disqualified because she didn't wrap the stem and because she didn't know she needed to. You guys, I'm sure if it would have been wrapped, she would have won, because I looked at the ones like the top 1, 2, or 3, and I was like, nah, my mother definitely could have beat theirs. But beautiful bouquets that I like to see. And even this year, I think in years past, I haven't seen this, but this year they had I guess the Rose Society, and they let people smell the roses, literally stop and smell the roses and vote on our favorite smell. And then also to look at the roses and just vote on our favorite rose, like in general. And that was really fun. And then the best part. So I love looking at the competitive type things in the sense of like, you know, people submit it and then they choose the top 3 or whatever. And the antique stuff too. I love that. But I think my absolute favorite part is walking through all the vendors inside from different places who just sell things and give you samples of things. So I love the samples of the dips, like the food dips that you put like pretzels in. Love them. Absolutely love to try those and to sample them. They have pickles, and you can try the different flavors of pickles. They have the different flavors of summer sausage. Oh my goodness. There's this one, it was this instant coffee that was so good and so amazing, but they haven't been there the last few years. And then come to find out, I think they actually stopped making it, but it was so good. And that would be one of the reasons I went to the fair. And then lately they've had some dessert places, like some local bakeries have been coming. So those aren't samples, but to buy them, I get my Avon stuff there. I mean, just walking up and down, I always buy some clothes there from the fair. And it's so funny because it's expensive. Like the clothes are I wouldn't say more than I would normally pay, but I do know maybe the prices are jacked up just a little bit. And so but I do always buy like a shirt or a dress or something. This year I bought a dress that it's a beautiful dress, and it looks good on, but it's probably one of those that had I been at a different store or something like that, I probably would not have bought the dress. Not because, it wasn't stunning in all its beautifulness, but it was one of those that could have came, could have went, but I did end up buying the dress because I was like, I gotta get something. I'm at the state fair. So I bought that. And then it's all the people trying to sell you, like, I don't want to say the gimmicky stuff, but this one guy, he got my mom good. Okay. So we were walking past and he was a young guy and it was one of those, clean your eyeglasses or like clean your, glass things guy. And he was like, can I clean your ring? He was asking me this. He had seen my wedding ring. And I was like, no, I'm good. And he was like, no, it's for free. You can come and you don't have to buy anything. And I was like, I mean, I know, but I'm fine. But then this lady was like, but it's a really good, like they really do clean your ring really nicely. And I was like, okay, sure. So I stopped and I let him clean it and give his spiel. And he gave the whole spiel. And he was like, you want to buy ready for the sales pitch? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And I'm about to walk away. Okay. And my mom's on the left side. My sister's on the right. And I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. Because I can say no. Like if I don't want to spend it, I'm definitely going to say no, especially since he already gave me permission to. But my mom was like, well, what about, and she got hooked, and he was like, well, you could get this for that. And she's like, well, does it clean this? And does it clean that? And you guys, he got her for like the most expensive thing on there. She bought the biggest bottle, which she was like, I've had this stuff before. It's great. And I can't find mine. So I want more. But I just thought it was hilarious that like the secondary, he got a secondary sale because he came for me. He cleaned my ring. He was talking to me the whole time. Mom's just next to me, but she's getting sucked in, I guess, hearing all the stuff he was saying. And so she ended up buying the stuff. And I was like, oh man, he hooked her good. But anywho, it is fun going to the fair, and you do have to kind of learn the balance of like, because when I do want to sample things, how much is it worth, having the spiel, getting talked to, versus, just walking past and maybe not getting your free sample so you don't get stuck somewhere or feeling guilty like you have to buy something. But it was fun. I like the indoorness. I like seeing, there's even the petting zoo inside. We have the space where each of our counties is represented, and so I like to go and see the county that I live in or counties that I've lived in before, and just to see what they have. And so I personally love the state fair, just for that. Really, and like I said, it's not like the most amazing thing, but I think just the tradition, along with kind of the camaraderie, like, hey, we're all from the same state. We're all here, just here, like my fellow people from all over. Here we are. So I think I definitely, I like the state fair, and I'm very curious how other state fairs are. I had a friend from California, and she was saying how theirs is kind of split up since California is such a big state, but that like theirs sounded amazing. She described it to like they have a lot of really cool stuff there. And so I'm just curious like how, but then I had another friend who said her state fair, she didn't know much about. I guess she had never been to it, or it wasn't advertised a lot. So I'm curious about what the state fairs, like who has the best state fair and what the different state fairs look like, depending where you are. Because I know also in our state fair, we have a lot of agriculture type things because where I live, agriculture is huge. But I would assume in kind of like a big city, or not like a big city type state or something, a busy state, that it wouldn't quite be the same. But I don't know. Like I would have to look. So I'm kind of curious if you are from a different state, what does your state fair look like? Feel free to leave that an Instagram comment or something. Because yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. So anyway, I loved our state fair. It was fun. I'm glad I went, came back. I'm exhausted now, definitely got some steps in and things like that. Whew, tired, ready for a nap. But I was like, let me record before, because y'all, it's about 9:00 at night. If I was to nap now, yeah, bad news. But anyway, so that was fun. So thinking about shopping and state fairs and stuff, I was in the grocery store the other day, and this thought just came to me, so I wrote it down. But I'm one of those shoppers that when I shop, I feel some kind of way about grabbing the first item when grocery shopping. Like I don't want to do it. For example, if I need we'll just say, I don't know, a can of soup. I'm not going to grab the first, like the very first one. I usually go back two or three. I like reach for the back and I grab the can. And I'm also one of those who's very motivated by appearance. So if I'm going for like a box of something, a box of cereal, and it's like bent or something, I'm like, nah, I don't want that one. Or there could be like two boxes, like let's say there's two of something left. I look at both and I'm like studying them to see which one looks the best versus which one looks like it's been through something, and I'm like, I want the best one. So I'm it's weird. And I wonder if anybody else does that. Do you guys do that? Like when you're shopping, do you go for the first one? Do you just grab the first one? Because I feel like, I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to when my husband shops, when we grocery shop together. We don't do it very often together. Usually it's one of us goes, but when we do, I'm going to try to pay attention to see, like, does he grab just the first one, like the one that's just right up front, or does he reach towards the back? Because I reach towards the back. I guess there's some subconscious part of me that thinks, that's the one that not everybody has touched and is the best one or something like that. But that was just a random thought that I had. So, as I mentioned before, I'm feeling a little bit better. I had been sick, and a couple of weeks ago, and I started feeling better. Well, I think my last episode was the UK edition episode. I still have a couple things I want to touch on that, but before I get to that, what made me think about it was I was talking to my friend, telling her about the trip and everything, and do you have those friends where you just talk so much that literally your throat hurts, like by the end of the conversation, because you've talked for hours and they're great listeners and you've just enjoyed it, and because of the excitement and the stresses and the, I guess, ups and downs of your voice, that by the end of it, your throat hurts? Yeah, that was me. I think it was after, I was feeling a little better from being sick, but I guess I was still a little sick. Or still recovering, I should say, from being sick. And I talk so much that my throat hurt, but I feel like I do that regardless, whether I'm sick or not, that sometimes you get with your friend, like one of your besties, and you just talk. And when you leave to get in your car to go home or whatever, you're like, man, I talk so much that my throat hurts. You guys already know I do like to talk, thus the podcast, but just know that it's all the time. Like the podcast helps me to like kind of release that some, but my friends definitely still get a huge brunt of the talking part of it. But I loved it. I counted it as a blessing that I had a friend that I could talk to so much to. That my throat hurts. Like that's how you know you have a good friend and a good relationship. But what I was talking to my friend about was my travels with husband. As you guys know, I went into all of that last episode. But a couple of things that I forgot. I don't know that I forgot to say, but that I was like, well, maybe let me hold off so I don't throw it all at him at one time. From the trip was, so I mentioned that my husband and I went hiking. Like up a mountain or two, went walking in the nature and things like walking in nature and things like that. But one thing I noticed when we were hiking was that my nose was running out of like the blue. And I was wondering, is that just a thing? Because it was kind of chilly outside, but it wasn't cold. But when we're hiking, your blood, pumps, and so you start warming up. So we had a jacket, but I had taken it off for the hike and like tied it around my waist. But my nose was just running like the entire way up and down, and I was like, "Is this normal? Does people's nose just run when they're hiking? Like, is that a thing? What is that? What is the science behind your nose running when you go hiking?" And does it depend on the temperature? Like, is it because it was slightly chilly outside, but my body was warm? And so maybe that contrast made my nose run? Or would it be like that if I hiked a mountain in Hawaii? I have to remember, I don't feel like my nose was running when we were in Hawaii and we hiked. But like in a hot place, would it be the same? I don't know. But all I know is that my nose ran, and it was quite annoying because I did not have a tissue. And so of course, I'm sniffing that terrible sound, like I know, I'm sorry that I had to do it, but I had to show you an example. That sniffing sound. The first one, you're like, okay. But by the second or third, being around someone with that sniffing, like that sniffing, like just, yeah, the sniffing is so terrible. And I think I like it, and you definitely don't want it. I know, like when you're in school and you have to take a test or concentrate and somebody's nose is just a running and they're just like over there sniffing, you're like, oh my goodness. And then because it's at random times, like you think, okay, they're good and quiet. And then all of a sudden it happens again. Annoying. It's terrible. It's quite terrible. And then the people you end up loving, like the people you love, when they start sniffing, you're like, you start looking at them like my husband, his nose was running too. And when we were coming down the mountain, I believe he was sniffing a little bit, and I think I glared at him a couple times, and I knew it wasn't even his fault. Like, I know, because my nose was running, and I kept sniffing and wiping my nose on my sleeve, which is so gross, but like, what are you supposed to do? But like, there's still that sound of the sniff. It's a terrible sound. In fact, I'm one of those people that sounds get me. And my friends know this. I would say my close friends, but honestly, you don't even have to be super close to me to know that I have a slight touch of misophonia where those sounds just annoy you. So sniffing, I don't like it. Clicking of the pen, it's okay, but it can get annoying. Gum chewing, that sends me. I do not, oh my gosh. Food. Oh my, when people chew with their mouth open, gum chewing, gum popping drives me up a wall. And I've gotten better. Oh, and the crunching, I'm sorry. And since I'm talking about like crunching of like an apple or a carrot or celery, I know, just talking about it, I know I'm triggering some of you because you're thinking about it and you're like, ooh, that sound. And I know it because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, ooh, that sound. So, okay, we're going to get off of it. So yes, those little, oh, those little annoying things such as your nose running, right? So that was one thing that was on the trip. That was just something that I noticed. And another thing I noticed on the trip was that sometimes it takes someone to break the ice for everybody else to do it. And I'm going to give you an example. I think I have two examples. One was an example that I gave, or that I did. I was the one who broke the ice. We were on a ship. It was I think it was the Royal Yacht Britannia, maybe, Britannia. And there was this part on the ship where they had like a telephone. They had like a lot of you were in the captain's area and people were standing there, but nobody was like touching the stuff. And I was like, I mean, it's not behind a glass wall. And so I went up and I touched the phone and I was like, hey, Hubs, take a picture of me with this phone. Take a picture of me sitting in this chair. And he was like, okay. And then like immediately after I did that, everybody else in the room was like, okay, we're going to take pictures in the chair too. And so everybody started touching the stuff. And I was like, yes, I'm a trailblazer, opening the gates for people to do things. And I mean, I assume it was okay because no one told us to stop. It happened again when we were at the Palace of, where were we? Palace of Holyrood, maybe. And there's this room, and it was a kid's room. But in that room, there were like dress up clothes, but like adult sizes were like the big, the dresses from back in the day, like the really wide one with the cute quarter-length sleeves, buttoned to the front or whatever. And then they had some capes and things. And adults were going in there and they were like looking and smiling and kids were in there. But nobody was doing anything. I'm like, this is for us, you guys. So I grabbed the dress and I threw it on. And then, and people were laughing and smiling and yeah, but then the next thing we know, like everybody was trying it on and everybody got involved and everybody was taking pictures. And I was like, once again, yes, trailblazing. So it's okay to be the first sometimes. Go ahead and be the first to open that up for everybody else. And then another time is when somebody else was the first and opened it up for the rest of us. And this could be a good or bad thing, but it was at the end of Phantom of the Opera. So at the theater, they had signs of you not getting your phone out, which I completely understand. Like during the musical, like don't have your phone out, like the screen, we don't need distractions, any of that. But at the very end, when they were giving bows, we were all standing and cheering. And then the lady in front of me got her phone out and took a picture. And I was like, oh, if she's going to get her phone out for this part, I'm going to, because it's over now, right? And so I got my phone out, I have to admit, and I sneaked a picture. But it was, and then literally like everybody did towards the, like at the end with all the bows and things. And so I was like, yay, this is so awesome. So I hope that's not a bad thing, but it was kind of funny how like once one person kind of opens the door, then everybody who's thinking about it wanted to do it. So, yeah, don't be afraid to be that one person. That's okay. Because sometimes that's what we need to really, enjoy the moment and the experience. But I think that's pretty much the last couple of things I was going to say about our trip. Other than, man, you get to know people when you travel with them. And if you can travel with somebody, let's say you're dating somebody or even friends, do little trips and test how you travel, because people travel so differently. Even the people you love and you marry, like my husband and I, we had some moments of definitely on the trip where we were like, hey, towards each other, just because of the way our expectations of how things would go. But if you can make it traveling with someone and still love them at the end of it, then you got somebody good. Traveling will definitely test your love for people and your grace giving and your tolerance and other people's tolerance for you, like definitely vice versa as well. So that was it. That was the trip. It was awesome. Loved it. It was so much fun. I'm not going to go into it. I did last episode. I just wanted to also touch base on those two things that I didn't mention last time. Also, okay, I have this. I wasn't sure I was going to mention it, but I might as well throw it out there. It literally says the use of the word we. The use of we, I thought it was the cutest thing, because when we were in Scotland, even in London, I think, like, people actually use the word we for like little, like WEE, like, oh, it was a wee little thing, I think is what the guy said. Or he's like, oh, we had a wee bit of rain. And I was like, that is so precious, for one, because when I think about we, I think about we, like you got a tinkle, or we, like a little kid, like, like a wee little thing. But for them, it's almost like just a normal word, like it's the word for little. And I thought that was just cool and cute in and of itself. And I was like, I think I could use the word we. It's such a wee little thing. But it's funny because you have to, if you use we to say like wee little thing, you got to say it with the accent. Like, you can't just say, he's a wee little thing. No, you have to be like, oh, he's a wee little thing. You got to say it like that. Or, oh, it was just a wee bit of rain. You can't say it's a wee bit of rain. Anyway, y'all. So anyway, that's okay. Now I'm finished with the whole UK thing, like the redo. Moving on. So, one thing. So this past week, I had to renew tags, and do you guys, there's just some things, and I hate to use the word adulting, because it's not adulting, it's just, of course, it's being an adult, but I don't want to say, oh, I hate adulting. That's not true. I love being an adult. But when it comes to like renewing my tags, it's so funny. It's so infrequent. It's just once a year, that every year when it's time, I get nervous, because I'm like, now, what do I need to do again? Where do I go again? When I walk in, what do I need to bring with me? Do I have everything? Is it okay? And then every year, it's perfectly fine. Like, if you need to renew your tags, I'll go ahead and let you know. You just need your registration. You need your insurance. And the lady didn't even ask for my ID. So if you're just going to renew and pay for it, you can just go. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing, if she was supposed to ask for it, but she just needed the registration and insurance, and then she charged me and I paid for it. So I guess they don't care who pays for it as long as it gets paid. But I, like, when I got that in the mail, I was like, oh man, like, it's that time again. And I always just get so, not nervous, like, but there's this like slight anxiety to doing something and having to be like, just that, where do I go? What do I do? What am I doing again? And so I was just throwing it out there to see if anybody else felt that way ever. About those little things that you don't do them frequently enough, I think, where you feel confident, but it's not hard, right? And you're like, I'm an adult, I should be able to do this, things like that. So quickly changing pace, that was just a thought. And a lot of you guys, I will say, a lot of this episode, I will be quickly jumping from one subject to the other, just because this last 2 weeks, for whatever reason, has been so random when it's come to my thoughts, but I love it. It's so much fun. And I just want to share them with you. So this next part is, I got the, how they different, companies will offer you, like free trials for however long. Well, I got my Audible one and they're like, free 3-month trial, and then you can pay after that. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I downloaded the Audible app, and I have Amazon. So, I have Prime, which I thought it was part of it. It is, but is it, I think, in some way? I don't know. But I run into a problem. So I got it at the very end of last month, the end of July. And it's like you get 1 credit for the next 3 months. So 1 credit per month each month. And so I have my 1 credit and I've been like, okay, let me find a book. Let me find something that interests me. And I keep running into problems because I love to read. So I thought this would be super easy, but it's terrible, especially when I have just 1 credit, because I'm like, okay, this 1 credit, it's got to be good. It's got to be something that I want to listen to over and over. It's got to be something that's long, because some of the ones I listened or I've looked at, I'm like, they're just 5 or 6 hours long. Like I could get through that in like 2 weeks, I'm just listening in my car, maybe even a week and a half or a week. And so I was like, I want a long one. But then I don't, I don't want to be too long because then I won't get through it, or it might not interest me, honestly. And then I'll find some that do interest me. But then I'm like, but I want the actual book. Like I want to listen to it, but actually I think I want the book and I want to be able to highlight, because I feel like the Audible book I want to get, I want it to be, I like both fiction and nonfiction. I like fiction because I love stories, I love mysteries, I love romance, all of that. But I like nonfiction too because I don't want to say self-help, but I do like, understanding yourself more, becoming a better person, doing those things. I love those type of books as well. And so that's the type of book that I think I want on Audible, because I feel like a fiction book, I'd get through it one time and be done with it, But a fiction book might have like a more of a fun, like Audible book reader. What are they called? Because it's what I want to do one day, maybe. But like, we'll just call it a book reader for now. Might have more engaging one, whereas a nonfiction book, it might be maybe a little more dull, maybe depending who's reading. But I also found that when I want the books that are the nonfiction, like self-help books, I'm like, ooh, that sounds like a really amazing book. But I want it so I can highlight it and write in it and take notes in it, because that's the best way that it'll sink in with me. And so I've been stuck. You guys, this credit I think expires in 7 days. So for 3 weeks, I've been just unsure of what kind of book to get. I've got books on my wish list, but I haven't been able to decide. I'm just going to have to just pick one at some point. But it's kind of funny because I really thought like I would know what kind of book I wanted and exactly pick one, but I've just been stuck in this limbo of like, okay, which one do I want? Which one do I want to have forever, through Audible? Which one's worth my time? Which one can I re-listen to? And I haven't figured it out. If I do figure it out, I'll let y'all know in one of my future episodes and be like, okay, I did pick a book. It was a self-help book or a fiction book. I love it. Or bad choice. We'll see. It's kind of funny because actually, with my struggles with this, it's kind of almost like, well, maybe I don't want to actually subscribe, because this is like, if I can't even decide on a free book, once I pay for it, maybe that'll help me. But I don't know. I think I love listening to books. I really do. But I really like reading them. And I don't know, taking notes in them. So maybe I do need a fiction book. But maybe, okay. So maybe a long fiction book, like one of my favorite fiction. Look, I'm figuring it out right now. One of my favorite fiction books that I really do like, that's long, that I listen to over and over, because I have a few of those. We'll see. Who knows why I'm deciding. I've been thinking about getting this Atomic Habits, I think it's what it's called. I've heard that's pretty popular these days. I don't know, you guys. I'm everywhere. And y'all are like, uh-huh. But anywho, so we will have to see. We'll see what happens once I get this, what book I do end up choosing. 7 days, it's counting down, so we'll have to see. Okay, let me tell you guys. So my mom recently had a terrible thing happened. Not too terrible, but she was in her car and she heard this bump on her windshield, and it ended up being like this big like bee or hornet with this big horsefly, like in a struggle. And I think the hornet won. I think it stung him. And mom, I mean, she took pictures and videos of this. She was inside her car and she was saying like, thank God she was inside her car when this happened. And that made me think of, so I was at Starbucks. I don't go that often, but I was at Starbucks and had my window rolled down and I was ordering my drink and I was like, hi, I would like a tall chai latte with almond and ice. I mean, whoa, is what I said, because this bee like the bee flew, not a fly, not just a random, a bee buzzed its little self into my car from that window. And so I did let out a scream, and luckily he did buzz himself right back out. But I did have to kind of compose myself, and I was like, I am so sorry. A bee just flew in my car. And I ordered my drink, and when I pulled around, the lady was like, you said there was a bee in your car? And I was like, yes. But it did fly out, thank God, because I would have screamed. I probably would have put my car in park and just got out of my car. And I was talking to mom about it, and I was saying how funny it is that instincts, like your instincts will help you out. For example, like if a bee is around me, if I can, I mean, I know you're probably not supposed to, but I'll run. You're like, and I'll scream running. But if I'm in a confined space and a terrible insect surround me, then I am as still as can be. I wait until I get to like slowly walk away, and then I book and run. It's like your body knows, like, okay, in this moment, I have to be still. In this moment, I need to run. And so in the car, I did let out a scream, but luckily, like I said, the bee left. And so I did not have to put my car in park and, calmly get out of the car and let it take over my car in the drive-through, because I 100% would have done that. And if people would have asked, I would have simply said, there's a bee in my car, and if you are willing to help me get it out, then that will help things move along. But yes, that happened today, or not today, but this week, at my lovely trip to Starbucks. Like I said, which I don't do often, but it's fun. And so that makes me think about, I guess I will talk about it. When I last talked to you, we were, the next day we were going to go to school, and we did. And as a teacher in my new position, this year I am starting out a new position as an English language learner teacher, or a multilingual language learner teacher. And I'm so excited to start. And but that's got nothing to do with the story, other than just, hey, new school year, new position. It's so much fun. But our school district also tried new things, new bus routes. And those did not go well. And I'm not going to go into all the chaos that ensued. Just know that, that first day of school, they canceled the next 2 days of school. And in fact canceled into the next week. And the kids just came back this past week, on Friday. So we started school on Wednesday. The kids did not have school again until the following Friday. I'm not going to go into any of like the politics or the like details about the chaos of it, other than just to say that it was so unexpected, right? Life will just, my goodness, it will, like, you can plan for so much. Like and I am a planner. When I say, like, I'm a planner. I'm a list maker. I have so many, you guys, I have a calendar. Okay. I have a monthly calendar at my desk. I have a planner that is a weekly and monthly planner. And then I have a daily and hourly one, a separate planner. Okay. So I have 2 notebooks that I carry around with me, along with the big calendar on my desk, and also the list on my phone. Like I don't love it, but I do. It gives me peace, lowers my anxiety when I get to plan. But can you imagine, like, life, you can only plan so much, because I did not anticipate that we would go to school for one day and then the kids wouldn't be back. Teachers had to go back. We got 2 days off, but we did have to go back for the other days. But it was just so unexpected. And I couldn't imagine if I was a parent of a student, of a school-age child, and had to like deal with the kind of the uncertainty of, when the students would be going back, versus with my job or what have you. I don't know how they do it, for one. But life, that just reminded me, this past week and a half, just reminded me that, man, life sometimes goes differently, a lot differently than you expect. And you just have to be flexible and go with the flow. And then I'm going to say this, because this is actually one of my points. It wasn't necessarily connected to this, but I think it's a good leeway. You have to give a lot of grace. And I know I talked about grace a couple episodes ago, I believe, when I was talking about my mom and how graceful she is in situations. But I guess this episode, I want to talk about grace as just one of those things that you give people when they don't deserve it, even when they don't deserve it, right? I mean, because that's what grace is. Like grace, because I love to think about mercy and grace. Mercy and grace go hand in hand. Mercy for me is when you withhold something that people deserve. So let's say they deserve a punishment, but you withhold that punishment. You're giving them mercy. But grace is when you give people something that they don't deserve. So maybe they don't deserve your forgiveness, or they don't deserve your compassion, or they don't deserve your understanding, but you give it anyway. Like that's the grace part. And so with life being as absolutely, kind of turned upside down as this last 2 weeks have been for my school district and everything, I just, one of the biggest things that's been in my head that I've been wanting to do and that I've desperately needed, honestly, this last month I've needed so much, is grace. And when you receive grace and when you give grace, sometimes it can be hard, but it can be so fulfilling. And I think the more you give grace, the less bitter you become. So give as much grace as you can, but also receiving grace is beautiful. So even though you don't want to give it, just know that whoever receives it, they may take it for granted or not. I don't know, but I know that when I've been given grace, it's one of the most beautiful things in the world. Like it is, because especially when you know you're guilty. Right. So, in this last month, my brain has been everywhere. My actions have been everywhere. I haven't been like terrible, but you know how you have, good intentions and then good intentions sometimes go awry. Or sometimes even you have slightly bad intentions, but then it becomes worse than what you think. Right. So it's one of those, okay, this may not be the best thing, but I'm going to do it because it's only going to be a small bad thing, but then it ended up being kind of like a big bad thing. Yeah. So I've had those moments. Gotta hate those because they remind you that you're not perfect. But I've definitely had these moments where I've been like, man, and the thing is, I cannot say that it wasn't my fault. I am 100% guilty of that thing. Right. And then the shame that comes with that, just that feeling of like, I did it. I didn't expect it to be this bad, or I didn't expect it to affect someone like this, or it got more out of hand than I anticipated, but I'm still guilty. I still didn't have the best of intentions, we get like true guilt, because sometimes you have good intentions and bad things happen, but you're like, hey, my heart was right, but sometimes you really had a moment. You really were kind of feeling mean, or you really were kind of, trying to be, I don't want to say be bad, but you really were just like, rrr. And so you have to own up to it and you have to claim it, which I think is huge. But when you feel that guilt and you feel that shame, I mean, y'all, we could talk about shame. I think it's one of those things that I don't know how often people feel it, but when you do feel it, if you've ever felt true shame out there, you know what I'm talking about. It's so anxiety provoking, and you're full of regret, and you're just like, when you feel that, the most wonderful, beautiful feeling is grace. It's when that person or that situation somehow changes for you and you're given grace. It reminds me of my dad's testimony a couple of episodes ago, where you're given grace. You're given what you don't deserve. You're guilty. You're guilty as all get out. But for whatever reason, grace was given to you, and it's amazing. And when that happens for you, you're like, okay, all right. I think you become a little more apt to give it to someone else. And so that, like with this whole, like I said, this school situation, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of blame has been going around, and people are at fault. Like legit, they are. But grace has to be given because nobody's perfect. And one day there will come where you're going to need grace, and you're going to feel like, oh man, I'm the one, I'm guilty. And when you get that grace, it'll feel so good. And I hope you do get it. That's the thing. I'm encouraging everybody out there to give grace, to receive grace. And when you receive it, be thankful for it, and if you can move on from it, like you'd be like, you know what? I'm not perfect. Thank you for the grace you're given. Thank you for mercy. If there were consequences, you take it, you own up to it, and then you just move on. That's the other thing. Even when other people may not give you grace, give yourself grace. Okay. Because you're not perfect, and that's okay. And you don't have to stay wrong. You know what to do to be better. So just do better and give yourself grace, and other people will catch up. And if they don't at some point, that's on them, right? So grace has been one of those things that's definitely been on my mind and heart as well. Connected to staying humble. I like right underneath that I had written staying humble. And this is kind of more of a funny story because sometimes you got to stay humble. So I was driving to work and I was doing, like you guys know, I jam my music. I usually drive pretty fast. And I got behind this car and it was just creeping. I mean, like so slow. I was like, oh my gosh. So of course I just wanted to let them know that they should go a little faster by, I don't want to say I was riding their bumper, but maybe I was being a little bit closer. I could have given them a little more space and grace, but I was close and I stayed. And if they would have brake checked me, I would have been fine. I wasn't that close, but I was like, come on, and something about pushing that brake, I just couldn't do it. I was like, I cannot just slow down. It's like, I got to let them know that I'm trying to get past them. And they did not, let me just say, they did not move, which I totally get, because I've done it before. In fact, we got past the windy road because to get to my work, I have to drive down this windy road and then get on the highway. So we got past the windy road and I was like, oh my gosh, like, finally. And I get on the highway and I am just cruising on the highway. And I get over in the fast lane because that's the lane I usually ride in. And this car is like flying, it's right behind me. And I was like, I am going fast enough in this fast lane. And then shoot, I got struck. I don't know if it was God or what, but it was like, you were just that person, Phebe. Literally, like less than 3 minutes ago, you were just that person riding by, just so get out of their way. They got somewhere to go. And I was like, oh yeah. And so I was reminded, I was like, okay, stay humble, Phebe. It's okay. So I moved over and let them pass and was like, I hope everything goes well for them, because man, that would have been nice if that person would have moved over and let me go past, but it was one of those like one lane streets or whatever, one way each way. And yeah, I give a little grace. Yes. Stay humble because, you know it. And then, and you think you know what you're doing. And then you find out you don't. It's so funny. Another situation similar to that was, I was learning this song. I was like, okay, I got this song. Look at me. Like I've been listening to it and I'm like, I'm like, see, everybody else should be listening to it too. And then legitimately like the next song, I was like, oh, I don't know these words. I was like, shut down. Like, God will check you real quick if you let him. I was like, yep, that's what I get for my big head for a second. Like, I was so proud that I knew a song and was like, okay, look at me knowing this song. And then, like, legit, the next song, I was like, what are these words again? So you got to stay humble. You got to keep yourself humble and give a lot of grace because we are all human. We are literally all human. Nobody is going to do anything perfectly, not even close. And honestly, I mean, put yourself in other people's shoes. That's one of the best ways I think that grace is given is you just put yourself in someone else's shoes and try to see it from their perspective and know that even if it's an area that you think, but I would be really good in that. Like, I would never do that. You're right. But there's probably something else that you wouldn't do quite right? Because we're all imperfect. Like, we're all human. And so while you're right. You may do this one thing better than someone else, but you probably do something worse than they do, in another area. So grace has just been one of those things that I've been needing for myself, that I feel like a lot of people have needed lately. My school district has needed it lately. It's just one of those things that I hope we don't forget to do that and to give that. So this is thinking about my car. So jumping kind of back to that, I was just on that. I was in my car and I know I've told you guys before, I don't know how to get the right to get the fog to go away. I never know, hot, cold, air, defrost. I don't know. But I realized another thing that I do in the car is I can never find the perfect temp. I will have the air on, but I don't really like the wind blowing in my face. But sometimes I do, when I'm hot. But then I get super cold. So then I turn it off. And then a couple minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hot. So then I turn it back on, and then I freeze, and then I turn it off. Is anybody else like that? Like, do you struggle finding that perfect temperature in your car? Honestly, one of the best, like ways in your car is when you have, okay, let me make sure I get this right. Okay, yeah. It's when it's cold outside, so you have the heat on in your car, but you have your windows down a little bit. So like the cold air is like coming in, but the hot air is like there, like you're hot, but it's cool. I don't know what it is, or like when you have like the heat on your feet or something, the cooler. I don't know. There's one of those mixes. I think that's it. I have to try it this winter, where it's like hot in your car, but the cold air, it feels good. Something feels good. There is a mixture. It does involve the window. I know that much. And it does involve your heater AC. I know that much. But I think it's when, you have your heat on, and then but you also have your window down, and the like cool air is kind of coming in, maybe like around fall or something like that, leaning closer to winter. Yeah, I think that's the best time, best temperature in your car, and everything else you just gotta work around and in between and all that stuff. But anyway, I see that my time is quickly going. I think I've made it through most of my list. There's a couple of things that I probably won't have time to get to. So let me see. Let me see how much I can get through it, and we'll see. Oh, okay. So what's left? My food segment and my music segment. Duh, Phoebe. Okay. Those are the two things that were left. So on the vein of like grace and things like that, and just feeling that and feeling humble and things, my pastor's wife recently, actually this last Wednesday, talked about, things that she wished she knew, and just some practical good information. And one of the things she mentioned was, this too shall pass. And I love that. I mean, it's something we know, it's something we say, but to be reminded of it, for someone to explicitly tell you, to say, hey, this too shall pass, this will pass, is amazing. And it made me think of the song, This Too Shall Pass by Yolanda Adams. I had to go back and listen to it. I said, okay, let me go back and listen to Miss Yolanda and listen to This Too Shall Pass. And y'all, it's a beautiful song. I honestly, I don't think I've listened to a Yolanda Adams song in I don't know how long, but I went on a little binge since this past Wednesday of listening to her songs. She's got some good ones, so I'm just going to touch on those good ones that you guys need, because she is good for like every season, okay? So This Too Shall Pass. If you're going through something and you just need a reminder, this too shall pass. And the words, I'm trying to think of the words, this too shall pass like every storm that's gone before it. He'll never give you more than you can bear. Not quite scripturally accurate, but you get the idea. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Anyway, I'm trying to think of all the words, but that's an amazing one if you're going through something. But also, she did Still I Rise. Same vein, kind of same thought. Like if you're going through something, you can still get up. Like you will still rise. You can get up 7 more times. You can get up. And that one's Yet Still I Rise. I know some of you guys are like, wow, it's been so long. It's been a long time since you listened to Miss Adams, hasn't it? Go do a quick listen. Go listen to some of her stuff. So, I mean, she's got This Too Shall Pass. She's got Yet Still I Rise. Of course, now, if you look, you are not always going through something. Sometimes you are in your victory season. And she's got a song for you too, okay? And that is Victory. And that want to get you pumping. And honestly, whether you're in your victory season or not, that want to get you pumping. Cause she's that's a testimony song. I mean, come on, you guys. I got the victory. Okay, anyway. And really, it was kind of funny because when I listened to that song, I guess at some point our church had did a sign language, like a drama sign language to that, because I started like signing it. And I think one of the ladies in our church, she does sign language, and I think I remember her doing it. And if I'm correct, man, she did it with such passion, and she did it so cool. Like, it was cool. So I was trying to be her in my car, while I was listening to it, like, I got the sweet, sweet victory in Jesus, just going town, like signing stuff. And I'm sure people were like, what in the world is she doing? But I certainly was trying. So that's one that going through stuff that's good. If you are, man, this next song, if you got married, 20 years ago. So not this past decade, but the decade before that. Then you probably had this song played at your wedding. And that's called The Prayer. Yolanda Adams, Donnie McClurkin. Okay, that's your wedding song. If you're in love with someone right now, if you're in a new relationship or anything like that, go listen to The Prayer with each other. Have it played at your wedding. That would be a good one. And then I've got one more recommendation for Yolanda Adams. So if you want someone to speak over you, speak blessings over you, or if you want to speak blessings over someone else, like maybe, hey, you have been struggling with giving grace, and you know what? I'm going to give you grace. In fact, I want you to be blessed. Don't live life in distress. That's the song. The song is called Be Blessed. And that's a good one. And I mean, it's just, she's got some great ones. So my music segment really is the whole just Yolanda Adams. Okay, so Yolanda Adams, all of those songs. I started with This Too Shall Pass. So if you want to start, that one's kind of the if you are going through something heavy, that's the one. But then also, victory on the flip side. So This Too Shall Pass, Yet Still I Rise, Be Blessed, Victory, The Prayer. And there's more. I'm sure there's more. There was one more that I listened to. There was one that when I was in Bible college, we actually got chosen to sing with her, and we got to be her background vocals. Not for like her CD or anything, but at a concert. And what song was it? It was, oh my goodness, I have to think about it. What was it? Now I'm gonna have to look it up because I know it. I have to think. Okay, so we sang it. It was The Battle is the Lord's. That's the one. It's not yours. It's the Lord's. Okay. Yeah, I know I got off, but go listen to it. That's another one. Like, oh, it's not yours. I mean, it's so good. I don't mean to sing on here, especially not like that, but, that's a good one too. So The Battle is the Lord's. Okay. So those are, all of those songs, those are all my song recommendations for my song segment. And then real quick, for my food, I had time this week to get breakfast, and I got breakfast at Chick-fil-A. I got their chicken minis, and they were so good. And so it made me think of fast food breakfasts, like who has the best ones? And I have to say, I think Chick-fil-A is definitely top tier because I love the chicken minis. I mean, that's it. It's just the chicken minis are amazing. And then McDonald's, I think, is another top tier. I'm going to have to throw that in the Instagram. Like, which one, what are your top tier fast food breakfasts? Because, of course, if we're talking regular breakfast, we're talking Cracker Barrel, okay? Then pancakes. But fast food breakfast, I like McDonald's because actually their pancakes aren't too bad. But also the McGriddle. All right, I had my very first McGriddle in 10th grade. I might have to tell you all that story. It was in my Spanish class, and if we did something, she was going to give us some McGriddle, and we got to order it, or we got to pick it, and that was my first McGriddle. Loved it. So my food segment is just my top fast food breakfasts, which is the Chick-fil-A, and then the McGriddle from McDonald's. So yeah, there we go. All right, I think we got it all in there. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 13. I am so sorry if I talked fast. I feel like I talked fast. I'm just excited. I'm hyped up on cookies and State Fair and all of that stuff. But I can't wait for the next episode. I'll probably have some more to share. But thank you all so much for listening. Feel free to jump on Instagram, leave me a message. Let me know your favorite fast foods. Let me know if your nose runs when you're hiking. And that's all I have for you guys today. Go ahead, give some grace. I hope you get some grace, and I hope you have an amazing next couple of weeks. See you guys soon.